Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. So this is AWS Lambda tutorial series part 6. So earlier in our videos we have discussed what are all the configurations that can be set in the Lambda functions. So what is the purpose of each of the configurations I have discussed. And today in this video we are going to discuss versions and aliases. So once you develop your Lambda functions, you can publish your Lambda functions to different versions. So what is the purpose of these versions? Once you develop your Lambda functions and publish a new version, and you can use that version in the production environment or any environment in UAT or dev. So if you publish your Lambda function as a version 1 and you use that in production environment, and you want to do some changes again in the Lambda functions, so in that case you are going to do the changes to original Lambda functions, not to the versions, not to the published versions. That cannot be changed or modified. So without impacting the versions, you can without impacting the production environment, you can change the original code and publish it again to the different new version. So by that way, you'll not see any the impact in production environment. Okay, now let's see how we can publish a new versions and give it as aliases. Aliases is so once you publish your version, and you can give an alias name to it, and not only one alias, you can give different aliases. So I will show you in practical how we can publish versions and how we can give the aliases to the versions. Okay, so this is the Lambda function I'm using for this session, and I have developed the code. So this is all the code that I have developed, and I'm going to publish it as a version 1. So you can see just we publishing as v1. Okay, so my Lambda function has been published to version 1. So you can see the version 1 Lambda function over here, and you cannot modify anything of it. So you can see once you go to the code, so you can just see the code, but you cannot modify. If you want to modify, just click on update code over here, or go to the original Lambda function. So version 1 cannot be modified. So once this is created, you can use this version 1 in the production environment. And if you are doing any changes in the Lambda function, original Lambda function, that cannot be impacted in the production environment since it is using the version 1. Okay, and you can see all the code, and this is the version 1 code, and you can test it here. You can test it here, and you can see the configuration, what are all the configurations, but you cannot modify any of these things. If you want to modify, you have to go to the original Lambda function. And okay, now version 1 has been created. Now I want to create a version 2. How I can do it? You have to go to Lambda function and do some changes. Without doing some changes, you will not be able to publish again a new version. See, I'm not doing any changes for now, and I'm trying to publish a new version as v2. So this is saying no changes were made to latest since publishing version 1. So no version was published. So for this, without doing any changes, you will not be able to publish a new version. So I am going to do some changes over here. So I will print it as a second version. So I've added one more line in the code, and I'm publishing and deploying it. So the code has been modified to the original Lambda function. The version 1 is still not modified. The version 1 will be the old code itself. So if you check this version 1, that line we have added will not be there. See, I've added in second version as a print statement, but it is not there since it is a version 1. So I'm going to publish a second version as I've changed the code line. So I've deployed it. You can see the second version. I'm going to create a second version for it. So I have created a second version. So this is a version 2. Okay, we will test it. We will test the second version and let's see. So you can see the second version is available as a print statement. And let's verify the version 1 as well. Let's test the version 1 as well. See, no, there is no second version as a print statement. So this is how different versions can be used. And if you are using in a production environment, if you want to use this Lambda function in a flow or a batch, you can use any of this according to your requirement. Okay, so this is how the versions can be working. And now aliases. So I'm going to give alias name to one of the version. So version 1. So what is the alias name for version 1? So I can give, this is the Lambda function trigger, right? So I can give the alias name as Lambda function trigger 1, and description is optional. I'm going to leave it as it is. And version 1, I'm going to give the version 1 name as a alias name as a Lambda function, Lambda func tree 1. I'm going to save it. The alias name is created for version 1. So you can just test it. You will not be able to see any code for the aliases. You will just test it. So version 1, this is version 1. You can just test it. So you can see the file process up to 5 process successfully. And also I'm going to give alias name for second version as well. So I'm going to create alias for second version. What is that? Lambda func 2. I'm labeling as it is. So this is the alias name for second version. I'm going to test it right now. See, you can see the second version. So different version can execute the different codes, and also you can give multiple alias names for each version. I can also give, for example, this lambda func tree to alias name given to the version 2, right? So I'm going to add one more alias name for the version 2. See, this is the another alias name for the version 2. We can test it. So why we want to give the different aliases name means you may want to different users are there, right? So if you for one user you want to give one alias name, another user you may want to give another alias name. So like that you have the flexibility to create a different alias names for the same version. So the version 2 is successfully executed, and you can see the execution results. And there is one more. If you go to the versions and try to create a alias, and you can see the weighted alias here. What does that means? You can shift the traffic between two versions. I'm going to give. See, this is the version 1 code. I also want to use the version 2 within the same alias. For example, uh, this is the version 1, right? So I'm going to give the name as 2, and the original version, this is being used as a version 1, and I also want to use the version 2 in some cases. So for example, wait is 100% for version 1, right? So it executes always version 1. But if you give 100% to the version 2, it will execute always version 2. Same for the same alias. For example, the version, so this alias name executes always version 2 if I give the weight as 100% to the version 2. For example, I'm going to put 0 for the version 2. Automatically, the version 1 will be 100% weightage. So always this alias will execute only the version 1 code. For example, I'm going to give 60%, 40% to the version 2 and 60% to the version 1. It will execute, the alias will execute 60% of the times it will execute version 1 and 40% of the times it will execute version 2. So this is how it will work. I'm going to give put 0, this is the version 1, right? So I'm going to put 100% to the version 2. Okay, let's see this alias will execute version 2 or version 1. So this should ideally execute the version 2. So but we have given alias to version 1, right? So it should ideally execute version 1, but we have given weight as 100% to the version 2. So it will execute version 2. Let's test it. So you can see the version 2 code has been executed. So this is how you can give the aliases to the different version, and you can also shift between the two versions for the same alias name. This weighted alias names are not that much useful unless it is a requirement is added. So this is how you can create versions and aliases. So I hope you like this video, and if you like this video, please click on the like button, and if you have any questions or concerns, you can ask in the comments. Thank you.